Morning, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor.
Three, I understand.
Good evening, members of council, ladies and gentlemen, staff. I see that we have quorum, and I call this special meeting, or regular meeting, sorry, of Committee of the Whole to order. It has been moved by Councillor King, seconded by Councillor Lane, that the agenda for the August 5th, 2014 regular meeting of Committee of the Whole be adopted. Are there any changes to the agenda? Councillor Durley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Looking out in the gallery, there are two issues, or two residents that have issues dealing with community planning and development. I would like to recommend that we move that up to the first part of this agenda so that these folks can be accommodated.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor. Is there a seconder for that? Councillor King. Going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. So we'll now move, now we need to adopt the rest of the agenda. I'm going to call the question on the amended agenda. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. The next item is disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. Do any members have any pecuniary interest that they need to disclose? Councillor Rubiak?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do 5.3.2 deals with a property such that my property is within the notification radius of those changes, so I will leave the room when that's discussed.
Okay, thank you. Any others? Can that be so noted in the minutes, please? We'll now move to community planning and development. The first is, have we done that yet? No. Sorry. It's the recommendation report for the proposed zoning amendment from the agricultural parcel. Is that it? Thank you. It's been moved by Councillor Lane, second by Councillor King, that committee received the issue summary report regarding 360 Cream Street, and the committee recommend to council that the zoning bylaw amendment application file number AM0714 for lands located at 380 Cream Street, legally described as concession 13, part lot 12 and 13, be approved, and the staff be directed to prepare and present the necessarily adopting bylaws for consideration by council. Any discussion? There being none, I call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. The next item has been moved by Councillor Lane, seconded by Councillor King, that issue summary report regarding 809 Foss Road, file number AM0814, be received in the Committee of the Whole. Recommended council that council approve the zoning bylaw amendment application, file number AM0814, for the subject parcel located at 809 Foss Road, legally described as part lot 19, reference plan 16, NP 70359R 6031, and the staff be directed to prepare and present the necessary adopting bylaw for consideration by council. Any discussion regarding this particular matter? And I do note that Councillor Rubiak has left the room because of his declared conflict. Any discussion? There being none, I call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you. The next item has been moved by Councillor King, seconded by Councillor Rubiak, that issue summary report regarding 156 Highway 20 West, file number SP0314, be received, and the Committee of the Whole recommend to council and approve the application for site plan control, file number SP0314 for 1898262 Ontario Inc., Bromac Construction, John Colangelo, located at 156 Highway 20 West, and that committee directs staff to prepare the site plan agreement and bylaw to execute the agreement between the town of Pelham and Bromac Construction, John Colangelo, for council's consideration and approval. Any discussion regarding this particular matter? Staff seem to have taken it well in hand. Going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you. The next item has been moved by Councillor King, seconded by Councillor Lane, that the issue summary report regarding 15 Highway 20 East, file number SP0114, be received, and the Committee of the Whole recommend that council approve the site plan application for subject parcel located at 15 Highway 20 East, legally described as Plan 716, Part Lot 3456, Part 2 RP 59R 7871, Part 1 RP 59R 8007, and the staff be directed to prepare and present the necessary execution bylaw and site plan agreement for consideration by council. Discussion? I'm going to say it looks like a great development, and the applicant has taken into consideration the concerns of the community with important things like a walkway. So it looks like a great development. Going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. That's it, gentlemen. They're both approved. Thank you very much. You can stay, though. It's been moved by Councillor Durley, seconded by Councillor King. The Committee of the Whole received the July 2014 Community Planning and Development Services Report for information. Questions, comments regarding the Community Planning Report?
Find it.
Get to it now. Just overall comment, some great news there at the beginning regarding the report, Mr. Glover, or the department, sorry, Mr. Glover, and that the reorganization and the work that you're doing, essentially rolling out the red carpet and cutting the red tape, which is what council has directed, seems to be paying off. And you're fulfilling that. Good to see that there's some flexibility in staff now in terms of the building department itself going out and doing early inspections. So I think that's been well received by the community. I have a question, unless other councillors do, just in terms of the actual increase in the month of July regarding the number of permits issued. Is there a reason for that? I mean, it's great news. Is it because of the changes that you've made in the department, Mr. Glover, or is it because of economic activity, or both?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I like to think it's because I'm here now, so.
We may need to make the door a bit bigger for your ego to get in next time.
In reality, what's happening is the economy's changing. We're having interest in Pelham. Things are moving forward, and we're really going at full speed in the building department right now.
So it's all of those, thank you, it's all of those features, thank you. Any other questions, comments from any members of council regarding the planning report? There being none, I call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion's carried. Keep up the great work. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you, gentlemen. Great stuff. We will now move back to corporate services. We do have one item plus the report. It's been moved by Councillor Ribiak, seconded by Councillor King. The Committee of the Whole received the 2015 budget schedule and recommend to Council that the proposed schedule be approved. Discussion? Changes here because of the election. Any questions, comments? There being none, I call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. I do want to say it's excellent to start the process with a public meeting again with the budget, to hear the public's views on the budget, so it's a good way to start. Next item has been moved by Councillor Papp, seconded by Councillor Kersey. The Committee of the Whole received the July 2014 Corporate Services Monthly Report for information. Any questions, comments? Councillor Ribiak, I'm sorry. Go ahead, sir.
Just a quick question for information with regard to the new payment option. Is there a fee? Do we have to pay MasterCard and others a fee for use of the square?
Madam Clerk?
That's for you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, there is a fee. The fee on the I-Square is considerably lower than the point-of-sale terminal that we currently have, so that's the option we're looking to go forward with.
Stuff. Thank you.
Thank you. Others? Councillor Papp?
Very quickly, through you, Madam Treasurer, the budget process, you state that you're reworking the working documents to increase efficiencies. And whenever I hear that, what efficiencies? The speed of submission, detail, what exactly?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, the previous documents, a lot of times we didn't have proper or accurate descriptions of the projects and all the details. We're looking to get more of the cost breakdowns as well with each individual project, so we can look at, what the components are of those. We also had to update it for the strategic plan, and just to expedite the process, once they come back to us with all this information, we don't have to send them back and back and back every time, so help us
So
out.
more concise, more detailed, so you don't have to go back and forth. Is
That's
that
right.
okay?
Thank you.
And very quickly, again, I notice you're reviewing the hiring process. At some point, you'll be reporting back to us, I presume, about the modifications or changes that you're planning to implement, or?
That's correct. There's a performance planning committee on the review of the hiring process.
Okay.
And I think that speaks to the orientation more so than the policy. I know that there is a policy that currently exists on hiring, and that's the one I believe the CEO will be bringing back to the next BMP.
Thank you, Madam Treasurer, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Others? Councillor Ribbiak?
Thank you. Another question just for information with respect to use of the web, the access portal that we have here at Peace Park. And looking at the stats, I see that there's an entry for miscellaneous web and another entry for miscellaneous secure web. I'm just wondering what the difference between those are. What is that?
Treasurer?
Secured sites would be like banking sites and institutions such as that. When you hit their portals, they have secure websites. There's other sites that aren't, that don't have that, just regular organizational sites. We pull these under miscellaneous because they're not utilized by many. There's maybe 10 different minor sites that are accessed, so we just put that under miscellaneous because it'd be too cumbersome to list them all in this report to you, Council.
Okay, thank you, Councillor.
Right, so secure web, somebody doing internet banking or something would be using a site that's secured,
Like with the square?
or perhaps like the Square.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Others? There being none, I call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you for that. The next item has been moved by Councillor Kersey, second by Councillor Lane. Committee of the Whole received the July 2014 Public Works and Utilities Department report for information. Thank you, Mr. Cook, for being here to represent your department. I understand Mr. Mantle is on vacation. Any questions, comments regarding the Public Works report? Councillor Ribbiak.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. With regard to the engineering portion, Cherry Ridge Stormwater Detention Pond retrofit, I think this is the same paragraph that we've seen a number of months, all indicating that there are several items requiring repair. So I'm assuming that we have some idea of when those repairs are going to happen. It's been a while for that project.
Can you assist us, Mr. Cook?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. I'm not exactly too sure when those, there's a small number of deficiencies that need to be repaired, basically related to some of the landscaping and things. We're waiting for them to come back and to do that. The ground there is fairly wet. They're going to have some issues getting in and out and gaining access, but they will be back to make necessary repairs.
Thank you. Councillor?
Thank you. Question on another item, if I
Okay,
may.
any others on that item? No? Go ahead, Councillor.
Bruce Wood and Foss Road water main replacements, that work has been completed, but the corner continues to show a great deal of sagging in the road. I wonder whether that's somewhere on the work list.
Mr. Cook, can you assist?
Foss Road and Church Street?
And Church, yes.
I believe there's some sanitary sewer repairs to be done in that area.
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure if that's an exact spot, but we do know that there's a bit of a settlement going on there.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Any others to that? No? To that particular item?
Not to the Foss Road, but to the Bruce Wood.
Go ahead, sir.
I did receive a call through you, Mr. Mayor, from a resident on Damewood one evening, and he had concerns that he turned his tap on and he got spurts of air, and then after the air come, he had some brown water, and I did make some inquiries about it, and it was a fact that there was some problems with the hookup, and that was it. I'm just wondering if when these things are happening, some notice could be given to the folks who live in the area, may be affected, to say, this may happen to you, but it will be cleared up, and that was the thing. It did get cleared up, and there was no problem with it. However, nobody was aware that there was any problem. I only did get one call, so maybe it only affected one household, but something like this could affect more than one household if it's in the main line. So I'm just wondering if there is a protocol to notify the folks that may suffer some impact from these things.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Cook?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, we do notifications in areas where there's a water main connection, or we believe that the residents will be affected. In some locations, in some areas, a little bit of debris or some rust from inside the water main gets away from us, and it can travel through the mains, and we're not really in control of where that ends up. It could have ended up at that gentleman's house, or it could have been in another area altogether. We're just not entirely sure. So we can expand the notification area, and just hope that we do catch the people, or catch the area where the things go in. But we can definitely look at that in the future.
I appreciate that. This might have been an isolated incident, because I don't get many calls like that, but I did get quite a concern from this gentleman this evening, and he did say after clearing the water that everything was clear after that, but he was just wondering exactly what might have happened. I did get back to him with the information I received through the CAO and through staff, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor. Others? Two other parts of the report? Councillor Papp and then a Kersey. Councillor Papp?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll be very quick, and I'm not sure, in fairness to Mr. Ryan, I'm amazed when I saw this, and just maybe somebody can help me. Fenwick revitalization, the lowest bid was 2.5 million. The budget amount was 4.1 million. So am I reading this wrong, or does this amount include all of the work that's necessary that was determined in the budget, or am I missing something here? Is there other work that has to be carried out?
Madam Treasurer?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, there's lots of other work that needs to be done. There's the hydro bearing of the lines, that's about $700,000. There is the light posts, they're about $380,000. So by the time we add it all up, and the report is
Okay.
coming to council next council meeting at the COW meeting, to show where all of our budget estimates are. We're just waiting on a few more budget estimates, and we're right in line with that $4 million mark.
So that's the gross budget that's been set aside, and this is one component of it that's been
That's right.
tendered, and there's other components that, I apologize for my stupidity, but when I read it, I thought, oh my God, we're rolling in the dough.
Why not?
So basically, that's the gross budget, and then all the other components will be brought out in a construction project assessment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Others regarding Fenwick's revitalization, anything further? Councillor Ribbiak, do you have one? I mean, Councillor Kersey, I'm sorry, did you have something on that?
Mr. Mayor.
Is it regarding that issue?
Yes, it is.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
Actually, it's just a follow-up, and I'm very pleased to hear, I've raised the point a couple of times about getting a project report where we itemize all of the, and it is both clear for council then and also for the public. I think we should undertake that for any significant projects. You know, perhaps we could consider even Port Robinson Road extension over to, from Rice to, Station to Rice. I think that, again, we're talking bigger numbers. It helps for clarity, it helps for communication to the public, to know how we're managing their money. And
think-
once that project report is developed, it's then a matter of just pulling the numbers into it. I don't think it adds tremendous amount of time.
Right. I think we have directed staff to do that. I'm
Yeah.
glad it's coming shortly, so it'll be
Yeah.
next meeting?
At the next meeting of COW, the only difference between the Port Robinson Road one is the construction price is the only price. With Fenwick, there's lots of different
Lots of
variables, so.
components. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
that's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm
Then we
pleased for
don't
that.
have to ask this.
Others on the other elements of the report? Councillor Papp?
The total report?
Yeah, other
Yeah.
parts? Go ahead,
Well,
sir.
it'll only take me 2 seconds. Parks and Recreation, I was just curious when I saw the time usage is increased with Well and Across. Are they using the arena more for playing time? Is that it? They're renting it?
I think you might be on a different report, Councillor.
No, it's on Public Works.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, please. Ms. Van Raven.
I'm just,
Mr. Mayor. Yes, we, during the month of July and June, part of May, we were able to rent the pad out to Well and Lacrosse on a regular basis.
Good. Thank
the
you.
only reason I say that's great, because I remember I was part of that organization, and I was very sad when they left,
Yeah.
because it was originated here, and then they left, never came back, and I thought this was great. And then quickly, I would have to say that, would this not be maybe Councilor Durley can help me, July 21st, I never remember the ice being in that early. That would have to be a record. That's the first time I've ever seen the ice in the arena. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And everything's copacetic, operating fine? I guess I'll start playing hockey.
In the heat.
In the heat. Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor, sorry for that.
Right,
Just
no,
was
that's good.
curious.
Thank you very much. I think it was ice making preparations. Do we have a date when we know that ice will be
Oh,
there?
this is in there, I think.
The ice is in?
The ice is in there.
Who wants to answer that? The CEO is very keen to answer that. Look, they all are. Ms. Van Ravensway.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, the ice is, it's not totally in.
Yeah.
We don't want players on right yet, but our date is August 15th. We're hoping will be the first
Skate.
Good.
skate.
Thank you very much.
Good.
Do you have anything to add to that, Mr. CO?
No, it's okay, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything further, members of council? I have a couple of questions that, again, this is in terms of timing. And I'm hoping Mr. Cook can answer this, or the CAO. Regarding the traffic management, as it's called in this neighborhood traffic management program, my recollection was that council approved in early July that work be done immediately, and that we were hoping to have a report at this meeting, I thought, for that, and those works aren't done. Now, I understood there was some sort of challenge with equipment or something. Can we just get an update on when those lines are going to be painted and that work to be done? Mr. Cook, are you able to answer that?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the community safety signs are up in place. We're just waiting for the region now to come in and paint the lines. Al's been in contact with them, so as soon as they're ready to go, we'll get those lines done.
Okay, I think residents, especially on Haste, have been ready to jockey vehicles in anticipation of doing the lines, and I keep getting emails every Wednesday saying, when are the lines coming, when are the lines coming, we're ready to move cars. So is there some way that we can communicate with the neighbors in those areas to
I'll confirm
find
the
out
region.
when they're going to be happening?
Yeah, yes, Mr. Mayor. I'll find out from the region when they plan on painting the lines, and we can communicate that to the residents.
Okay, thank you. I think that'd be helpful to them. And I presume that that's also the holdup for the crosswalks as well?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. The other one that was a major issue a few meetings ago was regarding the video inspections to the sewers, and there is note here that that has been tendered, and it says prior to the smoke testing, residents in the study area will be notified of the program. Do you have any update on that, Mr. Cook, that you're able to, in terms of timing?
Fortunately, I wouldn't be able to comment on that. I believe Al's tried to get in contact with the company that we believed had the lowest bid, so I think I'm not entirely sure. I shouldn't comment.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Well, perhaps, Mr. CEO, we can get additional information on when that's occurring. That might be similar to what Councillor Durley spoke about earlier. You know, residents will need to know when that's going to happen, so it's good that we're going to inform them of that. But it was quite important to a number of residents in our community that occurred. Anything else from members of council on any of the items? I guess one other item, and maybe this is something that council should consider, maybe not tonight, but in the future. The report says about the crosswalks that there's new LED lights installed. I believe it's at each of the crosswalk intersections. I know a number of other communities are looking at the LED lights as a possibility to reduce costs and yet provide similar level of service. So maybe it's something that council will want to think about in the future, to direct staff to kind of look at that as a possibility. I know we know that Welland has done that, and I noted recently that the city of Port Colborne is looking at that as well in parts of Niagara Falls. So it might be something that we want to look at in the future. So just highlighting that for council's consideration. Are we ready for calling out the question? I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion's carried. We certainly appreciate the input and feedback from Mr. Cook. Thank you for being here, for answering those questions, Mr. Cook. Now we move to Fire and Bylaw Services. It's been moved by Councillor Durley, second by Councillor King, that Committee of the Whole received the July 2014 Fire and Bylaw Services report for information. Questions, comments? There being none, I call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you. It's been moved by Councillor Durley, seconded by Councillor King, that Committee of the Whole receive the issue sheet regarding the Comfort Maple Legacy Project. And the committee recommend the council direct staff to request that 20 trees be set aside for municipal heritage projects, and the remaining 80 trees be sold in fundraising efforts to benefit the Communities in Bloom Committee objectives. Questions, comments? Councilor Durley?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just wondering, 80 trees are going to be sold. What is the way in which we're communicating this to the public? Because I've heard some interest from folks that would be interested in having some of these trees. So how might one be informed of how to obtain one of these?
Ms. Van Ravensway?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. The Communities in Bloom Committee will be working out the details and will be reporting back on how, it will more than likely be a Saturday at the arena, or we could also have reservations and they can come in and pay for it, such as we do with the rain barrels and so forth.
Sort of, there'll be some kind of a release from our communications people in order that everybody will be, okay, good, thank you.
Thank you.
Others to this? Councilor Kirsty?
I have a very basic question, Mr. Mayor. It seems like we've gone through a whole lot to propagate these comfort maple seeds. Is there a reason? Is this a tree protected, the seeds protected from stopping a member of the public to try and propagate that? I'm just curious, just for information purposes here. I wasn't around when that was decided. I just kind of wanted to know for information.
You weren't around when the original tree was planted.
Yeah,
but,
that's for sure. I might look it, but
Ms. Van Ravensway, can you assist the council, please?
Through the Niagara Peninsula Conservation Authority, they have jurisdiction over our comfort maple. They look after it, and it is considered the heritage tree. So they're very particular, as you can see, on propagating. And it's difficult. As you can see, last year we tried, and it could have been because of a wet year or so forth, and nothing happened. So this year it was very successful.
Okay. Thank you. We're going to see you in the middle of the night picking up keys this year, Councilor.
well,
Contraband tree.
It's already been there.
No comment? Okay.
no comment.
No, but it's an interesting point, and I think I'm just going to build. I see Councilor Ribiak, who is a member of the Communities in Bloom Committee, but it is a heritage tree that's designated by the province as a heritage tree, and they use it in their documentation, and we use it all over the place as well. So maybe we want to consider presenting a sapling to the province or something because of the importance of this tree. And I'm glad to hear that people are interested in having their own version. Councilor Ribiak?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to comment. As you pointed out, I'm the council's liaison with the Communities in Bloom Committee. This idea arose out of a much more general discussion around, number one, how we can attract volunteers by recognizing them. And of course, one of the ways in which one could recognize them is to present them with a unique part of Pelham. We had a discussion about how Communities in Bloom can achieve its fundamental objectives around the community, and one of those was with regard to our emblem being made more available. There was even discussion, and I can't recall it specifically in what regard, but discussion about the reality that the comfort maple is a very old tree and cannot be expected to live forever. So its progeny might be worth collecting. We thought of it as a useful presentation to visitors or to others on occasions when presentations being made are appropriate. I know that we often offer wine as a way of celebrating the fact that we have that culture in Pelham. This tree or its progeny might well be a much more unique and valued aspect of the community. Also, of course, the recognition that people in the community have a connection with the comfort maple and may be very happy to have on their own property an example of it. What happened with this idea was that the members of the committee went forth, did the research necessary to find out how to do it, whether they could do it, what the legalities were, And a great deal of work has gone into arriving at this point. You would think it would be as simple as you pointed out, collect some keys and here's a tree. But it's not. These will be certified descendants of that tree, and whatever value the community places on that symbol, this is a way of sharing in it. And certainly if it passes, I would, for one, would be very, very pleased that we would be in a position to have this kind of unique emblem of the town available for those who want it, those who rate it. I think it would be an excellent representation of a lot of values in this town.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor. Others? Just two other points of information I'd like to let Council know. The first is, this is reminiscent, actually, of a program that was done probably about 25 years ago. Because Pelham is a community that has a Carolinian forest with a tulip tree, that there was a program that was put together by the town about 25 years ago to propagate the tulip trees on various lawns, and they were sold. Some of them survived, some did not, but that was an interesting thing. So to have the emblem that's on our crest as a tree that's propagated, I think is something that's certainly speaks to both old and new and the heritage in our community. The second is that I had the distinct pleasure of speaking with Mary Lamb, who was for a long time a member of the chair of the Historical Society, and has written a number of columns about our history in our community, and a few books as well. And I raised this topic, and she was very, very excited about it. And again, seeing a way of continuing the heritage that's in our community and spreading that. So very, very supportive of this, and I am sure that if a few are speaking to a few councillors like Councillor Durley, many more will be interested, and we'll have to perhaps do this in subsequent years as well. Are we ready for calling of the question? I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you for this. Please pass along our thanks to members of the Communities in Bloom Committee for initiating this, and also the Conservation Authority and Mr. Baker specifically. Thank you. It's been moved by Councillor Durley, second by Councillor King, that the issue summary report terms of reference Christmas in Pelham be received, and the Committee of the Whole recommend to Council that the terms of reference for the Christmas in Pelham Committee be approved, and that the clerk be directed to advertise for membership of the Christmas in Pelham Committee. Questions, comments? No discussion? Councillor Papp?
It's just the obvious, I see the suggestion through you, Mr. Mayor, was to maybe rename it to Winterfest. Is that being suggested, or are we going to still leave it as Christmas in Pelham?
Ms. Van Ravensway? I know it was, it was also called Shiverfest, I think,
Oh,
because of how cold it was.
I love that.
Ms. Van Ravensway?
At this point, it's still Christmas in Pelham. If council so directs it to be
Okay.
Winterfest, we could change it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Christmas in Pelham, it's more, it's a long event, is it not? I mean, how many weeks is this, 7 weeks? 6 weeks, 7
yes.
weeks, as opposed to, I think Winterfest was a specific evening. Is that the distinction, Ms. Van Ravensway?
No, Winterfest, are you, through you, Mr. Mayor, are you referring to Under the Arches? That was the Christmas market.
Right. Oh, Christmas market, okay.
Yes, that reflected like the European Christmas market.
Yeah. Shiverfest.
Riverfest, I love it.
Councillor Durley calls it.
Councillor Turley's name, perfect.
Thank you. Anything further, Councillor Papp? Is that, you're fine? Anything further? I'm sorry. Thank you. Councillor Kersey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Is, just for clarity, is this going to be an advisory committee to council, or is it a committee that will be changing membership on an annualized basis as opposed to running with the terms of council?
Ms. Van Ravensway?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. The reason why we need to appoint, I know where you're going with this, because it's a difficult situation where we need to appoint this year's committee. We have volunteers that we have worked with in the past without a designated committee. It was council's instruction to have the terms of reference, and they'll become a committee of council. Although we are in the election year, and we will have a call out for committee members, which should be the term of council. And consistency, as you are aware, is important with committees of events. So,
Counselor.
So, Mr. Mayor, I just wonder, I couldn't find it in there, do we have that in there, that,
No.
that the term will run with the term of council? Because that still would cover this year, because our term would end basically in December anyway.
November 30th.
Pardon?
This term ends November 30th.
Well, yeah, okay, so November 30th, not December 1st.
Ms.
But,
Van,
I mean-
Ms. Van Ravensway, there's no reference to term in this? Maybe that can be amended?
yes, through you, Mr. Mayor, we should have a reference to term in this. I apologize, it was missed.
Bring it back to council.
Go ahead.
So-
This
so
can
no-
go to, this will go to council on the 25th,
Yeah,
so.
I don't want to hold it up for that. I
Yeah.
just think if we can get that fixed before it comes to council, I'm happy.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Van Ravensway, can you look at that, and when it comes to council, can we accept that as deemed direction to staff? Okay, thank you for raising it. Others? There being none, I'm calling the question along with that direction. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. It's been moved by Councilor Ribbiak, seconded by Councilor King. The Committee of the Whole received the July 2014 Recreation, Culture, and Wellness Department report for information. Any items to discuss? Councilor Papp.
Just my 30-second pitch. Summer programs, congratulations, you've exceeded the revenue expectations. That's spectacular. I don't think we've ever done that before. It's the first time I remember us. So we're paying for what we got. And then I just, Mr. Mayor, if I may, Summerfest, again, incredible. Supper Market, we've done it, and it's getting better and better each week. And then, like I said, and the parking plan, like it was mentioned before, and I think was mentioned previously, I haven't heard one complaint, not one complaint about it, and that was an incredible job. And then finally, Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to acknowledge, and I think all of us, that with regret, that we say goodbye to Jessica. She's been a stalwart person that there hasn't been any time, I can say for myself, when I've asked her for information to help, truly professional, knows her stuff, and wish her well in Burlington, but wish she would stay, but I'm sure she'll enhance her skills there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilor Papp, and certainly, I'm sure all of council agrees with you in terms of all of the items that you raise, just tremendous work that's going on, and really building on the recreation, the culture and wellness aspect especially of your department, Ms. Van Ravensway. So, and I think council knows as well that it's, all of staff get involved in that, and really is a team effort that's led by your department. So thank you very much, and that does include public works staff, and that does include finance staff, and et cetera. So thank you, Councilor. Any other questions, comments? There being none, I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you very much. Keep up the great work. Been moved by Councilor Ribbiak, seconded by Councilor King. The Committee of the Whole received the July 2014 Clerks Department report for information. Look at those stats. Lots of stuff going on here as well, and preparing for municipal election. Questions, comments? Councilor Papp?
Well, I can't help it. I mean, a great report again. I just bring two things that I noticed, that insurance claims processed are up, so we're getting people more. And I also noticed the Freedom of Information requests are up almost 1,000%. Interesting. So it places a lot of, well, you guys don't want to say, I'll say it. I think it places a lot of stress, and it puts a lot of pressure on our clerks, and they do a professional job, and I've never heard anybody complain about it, but I just interesting to see how we're proceeding with meeting all of the various legal requirements we have to meet, so congratulations to them. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Again, no doubt on behalf of all members of council, so thank you, Madam Clerk, and your staff. I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried.
Yeah.
It's been moved by Counselor Papp, second by Counselor Kersey, that Committee of the Whole receive the issue summary report regarding alternative, engineering design guidelines, and the committee recommend the council approves an offset limit of 77,515 for the retention of AMAC Environment and Infrastructure for the purpose of developing engineering design guidelines. Questions, comments?
No, it's a good thing to do.
Makes sense. In terms of the timeline, it appeared to be truncated, Mr. CAO. But the final date is, it looks like the 19th of January, is that correct? So the work will commence somewhat immediately?
Yes, that's what the original proposal had indicated, was a January completion date. However, as I indicated, we do need to have a discussion between AMAC and the planning partnership, and I think there's items that can be expedited rather, because we have the work already done. So we haven't had that coordination meeting because I wasn't sure if the project was going to proceed, but we will, and I'll be able to provide a more comprehensive, up-to-date report to council on the completion.
Okay, great, thank you. Others? And the other is that this number doesn't include HST, so maybe look at that. But I guess we get it back, so I'll leave that in your hands. You want to
We get it back
comment?
except 1.0176%.
So it might be slightly higher than this. But are we ready to call the question? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you. It's been moved by Councillor Kersey, second by Councillor Lane. The Committee of the Whole received the July 2014 Chief Administrative Officer's Report for information. Let me get to the report here. Questions, comments? Again, some great work going on across the corporation. Anything? Thank you, Mr. CAO. There being none, I call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. It's been moved by Councillor Kersey, second by Councillor Lane, that this regular meeting of Committee of the Whole be adjourned until the next regular meeting scheduled for Monday, August 25th, 2014, unless sooner called by the Mayor. The schedule is changed because some members of council are attending the AMO conference, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario conference, which would be on our normal date. I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
It's okay though, because that's a Manus property.
I know who it is, yeah.